Okay, it is 9 o'clock and we will call the compensation board meeting to order. We have 4 out of 5 members present, so we do have a quorum. And the first order of business is going to be introductions. We have Rich Harper, Nicole Schott, Aaron Heidemann, and Reen Durfee make up our compensation board this year. And one absent member, Eric Harrison. And then Brooklyn Griffith is our new finance director, for any of you who may not have known that. And I'm Kelly Smith, the appraiser and deputy tax collector and budget officer for the year. So we will move into nominating and appointing a chair and vice chair of the compensation board. Any nominations for a chairperson?
How long have you been on it, Rich? Just for a year. Oh, this is the first
I
time.
think Nicole's our only. Yeah.
I nominate Nicole, then he accepts.
Second, I'll accept.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to nominate Nicole chair of the compensation board. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I
And so be it. Nicole, do you want to call for the vice?
Yes, are there any nominations for vice chair? I nominate Reen. Would you accept that?
okay.
All those in favor of Reen or any other nominations first? Okay, all in favor of Reen? Aye. Okay, motion carried. Discussion of the salary step.
Yes, so the first thing you'll find in your packet is just a blurb about the duties of the county compensation board according to Oregon revised statutes. So I'll read through that really quick. Each county governing body shall appoint a county compensation board. A county compensation board shall consist of from 3 to 5 members who are knowledgeable in personnel and compensation management. The county compensation board shall annually recommend a compensation schedule for the county elective officers mentioned in ORS 204.005. The county compensation board shall annually review the compensation paid to persons comparably employed by the state of Oregon, local public bodies, and private businesses within a labor market deemed appropriate by the board for each elective officer. The county compensation board shall take into account such factors as the number of employees supervised and the size of the budget administered by each elective officer. The duties and responsibilities of each elective officer and the compensation paid to subordinates and other appointed employees who serve in positions of comparable management responsibility. The county compensation board shall prepare and approve by majority vote a recommended compensation schedule for the elective officers and shall submit the recommended compensation schedule to the county governing body. Notwithstanding subsections 1 to 3 of this section, the sheriff's salary shall be fixed in an amount which is not less than that for any member of the sheriff's department. That's what we're tasked with today. So our salaries to review are the first few things here in your packet. We have the current year's salary schedule for our elected officials. You'll see the judge and sheriff are on the same schedule, and then the clerk, treasurer, justice of the peace, and assessor are on a schedule, and then the commissioners are part-time. So they are at, I didn't make my notes, I believe it's 20% of the other elected salaries. 23%, 0.3, 30% of the other salaries. The next page you'll see, and let me know if I'm going too fast if you want to take a moment to review. The next page is the current year's sheriff's office salary schedule. So that shows all the different positions in the sheriff's office. And that would be what you can compare the sheriff's salary to make sure that he is making more than the next highest paid person in his office. The next one is our non-represented employees. So these are employees that are not in the union nor in the sheriff's office. And And it's pretty straightforward. They're grouped by skill level and education required for the position. And then we'll have a copy of the union's salary schedule, again, like the non-represented, grouped by skill level and education required for the position. If you'd like to take a moment to review that, questions, comments? I'd like to speak a little to the last page in this set where we have the surrounding counties' full-time equivalent salaries as of January of 2023. So this is comparing to the same year that we're looking at with our salaries. We pulled Wheeler County, Morrow County, Sherman County, Klickitat County, Washington, Wasco County, Umatilla County, Benton County, Washington, Yakima County, Washington, and Crook County. So these are counties within a radius from where we are. And after reviewing the population and budget, we threw out Umatilla, Benton, and Yakima counties. They're just not comparable to our county. Wheeler was tossed out just because it was the low of the group, and Crook was the high of the group. And those kind of threw our averages off a little bit. So the counties highlighted in green are the counties that I thought were best comparables to Gillum County. And you'll see a little section at the bottom where we have comparing Gillum County's low and high salaries for the position to the average of the green counties' low and high salaries for the position.
Numbers in the Gillum low and high don't match this 2023-24 schedule that was specified.
Yes, because this is as of January of 2023. I'm sorry. These are July 2023 through.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Yes, we are using last year's materials for this meeting because there just simply was not time this year to gather information. So this is a little outdated. The county's pages that you're looking at are going to be 5.5% higher than the numbers that you see here, as are Morrow counties, Sherman counties, Klickitat counties. They've all gone up since this. Yes, sorry about that.
Right.
Yes, yeah. Yes, so we are comparing January of 2023 to January of 2023 on this sheet. Yeah, just to see where we fall in line.
Is that 5.5%? Is that a COLA adjustment? Or is that
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So last year, all the non-represented, represented, and sheriff's office all got a 6.5% COLA, and that matched the CPI index that we use for the union contract. And then the electeds were bumped down 1%, was the recommendation from the compensation board. So they were at 5.5%. So it was the index CPI minus 1%.
So, Sherman County, I just, you know, the information, they got 8% increase this year. But I think that they had
Not gotten the increases the last few years that we did. Mhm. Yeah.
What is the increase? Will it increase this year?
The CPI this year is, after your city employee survey packet. I've highlighted we use, in the union contract, it states that we use the West Size Class B/C for December through December of the prior year. And so I highlighted December through December is 3.6. We will most likely, none of the salary schedules have been approved yet. The union will get 3.5 because that's stated in the contract, the maximum. Historically, that's been applied evenly. So the proposed adjustment this year would be a 3.5% increase, but the CPI itself was at 3.6.
That's for 24, 25, 20.
It's comparing December 2022 to December 2023, there was a 3.6% increase. And that's the index that is written into the union contract. And I don't think it's in the personnel manual. I'll double check that and see what the personnel manual says.
But the second to the last page of the packet is what's on the table for us to discuss.
Yes.
Is the record.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you'll see also a list of each office and how many FTE they supervise. And then when you're ready, I think we have a few elected officials that may like to say a few words.
Is there any more like stuff you want to explain?
So I gave you the League of Oregon Cities salary study from October of 2022. It's the most recent study they've done. I did not have a lot of time myself to look through it and pull out any comparables. I find that page 5 is pretty useful. It shows average salaries across the state for different positions. But I did not have time to get to it as I wanted to kind of compare positions to ours. So that, yes, yeah. That's the most recent salary survey they had available.
Well, maybe let's go with elected official comments next, and then any public comments, and then we can discuss and ask a question. Okay. Elected officials, any comments, questions, concerns?
I have a sermon.
A sermon,
Yes.
bring it.
Really?
You know about that.
Time.
Yeah.
You have 3 minutes. No, go ahead.
30 minutes? Can I sit there?
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be at a job interview like that. That okay? Madam Chair.
Oh, yes, please. Sheriff Bettencourt,
Thanks.
how many pages is this?
It really is a sermon.
I can talk fast. I can talk fast.
Okay.
So it's been since the early 2000s, prior to 2010 at least, was the last time I addressed the compensation board thinking that the sheriff should be paid more. And since then I'm and still am perfectly happy with what I get paid, and I love my job. So this is not complaining necessarily, but since COVID, with the increase in, especially over the last 2 years, increase in insurance, grocery, fuel, all of those types of things, I don't feel like especially government entities keep up with inflation. So And I do want to stress the fact that I'm here representing the sheriff's office, not any other elected officials. We always work very, very well together here and understand that we represent ourselves. And so I just want to make that clear. I would like to begin by thanking all of you for volunteering to be on this committee. It's not an easy thing, and appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. The office of sheriff is a position that I hold in extreme reverence. I have served in the office as your sheriff for 19 years. I began my career in 1999 as a reserve deputy sheriff for the Gillum County Sheriff's Office. I was hired as a full-time deputy in 2001 under then Sheriff Parker. I was promoted to undersheriff in 2003, and when Sheriff Parker left office, assumed the duties of sheriff. In January, once Sheriff Lowry retires into December, I'll be the longest serving sheriff in the state. There are 110 statutes in the state of Oregon that determine, I'll get this wrong, or which mandate the duties of sheriff. So that's quite a few to keep up with. Once elected, the sheriff is responsible for the statutory mandated duties, which include acting as the chief executive officer and conservator of the peace for the county. Upon the sheriff's authority, arresting and committing to prison all persons who break the peace or attempt to break it, and all persons guilty of public offenses. Defending the county against those who, by riot or otherwise, endanger the public peace or safety. Execute the process and orders of the courts of justice or of judicial officers when delivered to the sheriff for that purpose according to law. Attend upon all the Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, Oregon Tax Court, Circuit Court, Justice Court, or County Court held within the county and obey its lawful orders or directions. Keep and maintain a jail for the county, transport prisoners to court or other judicial proceedings, provide security to the Circuit and Justice Court and the county, keep and maintain a search and rescue for the county, conduct sales tax delinquent properties, or conduct sales of tax delinquent properties in the county, and serve civil process. So those are just the list of mandated by statute and otherwise other duties, and some of these are repeats. Prisoner transport, mental health, secure transport, search and rescue, civil service, concealed handgun licensing, public safety, education, crime prevention, traffic safety, education and enforcement, sex offender registration, fingerprinting, commercial truck registration, boat registration, criminal investigations, court security, animal control, and maintaining a gun range. These next three, emergency management, parole and probation, and fire services, all fall under the authority of the county court. Years, 20, 30 years ago, the county court assigned those duties to the sheriff's office. So we maintain those. We hold contracts with the city of Arlington, city of Condon for patrol, and also BLM Lands patrol. And then we also have a big influence in dispatch and the jail. And as you may know, the jail and dispatch are regional entities. So there's 4 counties involved in of those, and the 4 sheriffs in the jail work cooperatively and meet and oversee the operations, and the jail commander is staff of the jail. As far as dispatch goes, there's a member from each county court and the 4 sheriffs that serve on that board. And we manage that. So just going through some of the budgets and staffing, Frontier Regional 911 manages a total budget of $4.6 million, of which Gillum County contributes $525,706. The agency has 13 positions that are required to operate 24/7, 365. I have served several years as the board chair, and I served as the interim director for 14 months recently until the current director was hired. I remain the sheriff with direct oversight of the communication center and direct supervision of the director. Norcor, our jail, manages a total budget of $7.4 million, of which Gillum County contributes a little over $208,000. This does not include the juvenile side of the facility. On the adult side, we have a staff of 33 corrections personnel with 14 shared staff. The 4-member sheriffs are directly responsible for the operations of the facility, and I'm currently the chair of the sheriff's board. Court security manages a total budget of $175,500. Fund expenditures are approved by the circuit court presiding judge. The sheriff is responsible for all court security, and because the courtroom is in the courthouse, the sheriff's office is responsible for security in this building as well as the security systems. Fire services manage a total budget of $361,000 plus. The sheriff by the county court was appointed to represent the county many years ago, and I am currently the board chair. Our parole and probation program is titled Gillum Wheeler Community Corrections, manages a total budget of over $401,000. This department falls under the county court's responsibility, who assigned it to the sheriff's office. Parole and probation is fully funded through the state of Oregon. We have an agreement with Wheeler County, with the Wheeler County Sheriff, and manage their parole and probation program. The sheriff obviously is in control of the Wheeler County probation. The Gillum County Sheriff's Office manages a total budget of $2.1 million. We currently have 12 team members. In total, the Sheriff's Office is directly responsible for or part of the management of $3.6 million of Gillum County funds. And I don't know how you break up the staffing, the people in dispatch and the jail and our director of parole and probation. How do you divide that up if it's a regional concept and what the responsibilities are? On the revenue side, through our direct fees, I don't charge fees for things that people already pay taxes for us to do. But civil service and boat registrations, truck registry, stuff like that, where it's a cost of the county, we pass that cost on. So through fees, justice reinvestment grants, homeland security grants, the sheriff's office in 23-24 received $134,000. Our 2 city contracts and BLM contracts, we bring in $52,000 on those, and through the justice court and citations, with a fully staffed team, we are on course to generate $340,000 to $360,000 through the justice court. This, I want to point out, this revenue is not part of a goal setting or mandatory citation issuance.
Sure.
But I know. What do they call those? Quotas. Yes. Yeah, we have none. But that's just a fact of reality. So total revenue for the sheriff's office could be as much as $536,000 for the county. Of course, it goes back out in personnel and whatnot. And so quickly, I want to talk about retention and incentives in the office. We had a long period of time where we were down in personnel, and I just racked my brain. How can we keep people? How can we draw your 20-something male, female deputy, single, typically, not always, but there's not a lot for them to do on weekends and days off and after work and those kinds of things. I thought about a dating service, but didn't think that would go far. Yeah.
Cool.
Sure. Well, sure. But in any case, I think I've hit the retention part of it. We've always encouraged people's interests. If they like canine, we've gone with the canine program. Marine, we're looking into some things there. We have some marine interest. But we have a crime task force, Columbia Gorge Crime Task Force. We have a deputy that was extremely interested in investigations and whatnot. So she's our detective and part of that crime task force. So, and then we have another fellow that is interested in tactical stuff. So he's on the local tactical team. So he's a SWAT guy now. He's really cool. But it's all, to the benefit of our community and whatnot, but also the interest of our team to help keep them here. but also to learn. And in the event we have a situation, we have somebody, qualified, experienced, and those types of things. So that seems to be working. 2 years ago, we hired 3 new people. We were fortunate enough to, we're one of the few agencies that are fully staffed. So we think some of those things are helping. I've put a big emphasis on safety, with, the things you read about in the news that happen here too, and you just never know. But we're not only law enforcement response, we respond to fires and medical emergencies, either to assist, or we're all medically trained to a lower level. But we're typically able to get there first, direct traffic, or size up, or to stop somebody's bleeding, or to do CPR, things like that. So there's a lot more involved than just going fast and meeting our quota of tickets. We have been experiencing a lot of vehicle maintenance issues. I worked really, really hard to keep our budget down, but yet keep our vehicle fleet on the newer side. But newer vehicles aren't built like the old ones. And so we've constantly got breaking ones there. Technology is my big issue, and thank God for Lieutenant Flory. Technology, everything in our cars is technology. I always said someday we're going to go out, start a car, and the computer won't start, and we're dead in the water, just go in the house and take the day out. And we're pretty much there. But with Tori around, we're able to get good equipment and keep up on the software and keep things fixed. So, and of course, training is always up. And as you can tell, we're involved in every aspect of the community. It's amazing how much involvement we have in industry and the commercial businesses. And then obviously we've always had that communication and contact with farmers and ranchers, local businesses, the schools, and obviously we patrol the city. So moving on. I don't know what time is. I'm on 4. The rest of this is really fast.
We've passed your 3-minute limit for sure.
Sorry. I will just say, it was part of my presentation. As of 9 o'clock, the start of this meeting, I've done work 54 hours this week. And that's not the typical week, but for many years, I mean, I pretty much 50, 60 hours a week. So just throwing that out there. I've been involved with the Oregon State Sheriff's Association since I started my career. My commitment to the organization and my community took me to being the president of OSSA in 2015. In 2017, my fellow sheriffs felt I was worthy and honored me by voting me Sheriff of the Year. I currently serve on OSSA's Budget and Western States Sheriff's Committee, and I chair the Bylaws Committee, chair the Injured and Fallen Deputy Committee, chair the Livestock and Cattlemen's Committee, and chair the Nominating. I've been appointed to the State of Oregon Fallen Law Enforcement Memorial Committee and the Governor's Commission on the Law Enforcement and Other Law. I've been on those committees for several years. I've gone through all of the seats of the executive board of the Western State Sheriff's Association, and I'm currently the Western State Sheriff's Association president. In 2020, I was honored to receive the Sheriff of the Year Award of the Western State Sheriff's Association. I chair the Fiscal and Bylaws Committees for WSSA. And just to give you some perspective, Western State Sheriff's Association represents 18 states, all the states west of the Mississippi River. We are constantly in communication with BLM and their management programs, and doing away with the grazing contracts, basically buying up property. By the way, the federal government owns 640 million acres of federal lands in the United States, most of that west of the Mississippi. So they're constantly trying to enforce rules, close out the public, things like that. And that's what we do. There's one thing going on right now where OSHA is trying to implement new rules for fire departments, and they've included search and rescue. As I stated, search and rescue falls under the purview of the sheriff's office. And with those new rules, they would pretty much disseminate all search and rescue in the rural areas, as well as the fire departments. There isn't the funding there to do that. There's not the personnel. And so, we're we're writing letters of opposition to the OSHA rules. And there's been 900 responses to that, and they've extended it twice. So I think we're having some effect there. And at some point, we'll testify to those rules and the difference between a rural search and rescue and urban wilderness search and rescue. We also have a lot of communication with the Forest Service. Years ago, when the spotted owl came and stuff, there was a certain number of board feet that was supposed to be harvested every year. It's not being done. And then I've been personally on the border 5 times now. Last time I met with myself and New Mexico sheriffs, met with the Republican legislative body in New Mexico. They have no security on their border, and there's 52 miles of border that's unprotected with the wall that nobody can be out there. And then there's 1.3 miles that has no wall and no personnel on the border. So there's no cameras, no security systems, nothing. They have secured funding since that visit for cameras. Anyway, that's going deeper than what I intended to. In looking at the County Compensation Board, ORS, and looking at current salaries of people I supervise in partnership with another sheriff or directly supervise, and people I work with in management positions around this county, I realize my position, responsibilities, and demands are similar, and feel this is more of an accurate comparison to our current economy. And I'll bring up that the wind farms, solar farm, waste management, those types of things, they bring in a lot of revenue. But they also incite a lot of issues for emergency response, right? So it's good for the county, but not necessarily good for law enforcement or fire and EMS. We're busier, more responsibility. The wind farms get hit every week, stealing copper. And when they're during construction phase, people go in there and literally cut the wire off new spools of wire, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage. And that falls obviously on those that need to investigate and try to corral those hoodlums. But anyway, so wind farm managers, I never could really nail that down, but I did talk to a representative of wind farm. And their managers are running somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000 a year. Waste management managers are between 110 and 147,000. And then getting into my purview of things, the sheriff's office, Frontier Region 911 director is currently at $136,000 with the new proposed budget to move up to $142,000 a year. The Frontier Region 911 assistant director proposed position, we don't have anybody there, is a little over 101,000. The Norcore jail commander, which works directly for the sheriffs of the jail, is at 136 plus, and the top salary in that position is 158 plus. The Norcore captain is at almost 119,000. The Norcore business manager is at 116, and the lieutenant would be at my salary going into this next year if approved at 110,000. The Gillum County Sheriff, 106,435, with the proposed COLA would be 110,160. I will promote my lieutenant to undersheriff this next year, and he will be starting out as undersheriff at 102,309. Gillum County elected officials with the COLA, 99,144, and then our parole and probation directors at 93,119. Now I'm going to wind them up. I don't know, I'm getting there. But it's not a complaint. I just want you to understand the responsibilities and demands of the job. As Sheriff of Gillum County, I have served with distinction and honor with Gillum County and rural Oregon as my primary focus. I've engaged in countless committees to further the rights and freedoms of Eastern Oregonians, representing them in legislative committees on both the Oregon State Sheriff's Association and Western State Sheriff's Association. 6. Oh, that's good. The things, and I don't even talk about this stuff to my family because it's just, it's part of the job. It's what we do. But as I get older, I start to realize the effects that it has on a person. And so I think about my teammates, my fellow sheriffs and all the other people in emergency response. The things that wear on a person in this profession are always being super vigilant, worrying about staff that they may get hurt or killed. Public perceptions, all the liabilities, conducting, notifying families of death notifications. Being on call all hours of the day and night, being advised of all deaths in the county, seemingly endless hours. Meetings, all hours, morning, afternoon, and evenings, the inability to please everyone, responding to emergency calls where a person is injured or killed, going to abuse or neglect calls, especially when it involves children, or having to physically take a child from the parent, seizing severely abused animals, and having to always worry about their safety and well-being. This is not just the sheriff. These kinds of events happen to all law enforcement. The roles in law enforcement continue to evolve and have become increasingly complex. The rules of order and the risk of liability require the sheriff to maintain an increased and ever vigilant education related to current events and continually changing case law. The role of sheriff has become more than a law enforcement officer and manager of the agency. It has become akin to that of legal professional, caseworker, crisis worker, social worker, project manager, strategic planner, finance expert, and overall juggler of unknown tasks. The position of sheriff does not have the benefit of going home at the end of the workday and turning off the phone and shutting out the public. The sheriff is on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the year. This position does not get a regular reprieve from the duties and stresses of the job. And even when on a planned vacation, the risk and liability of the office looms overhead. So thank you for listening. And I'll reiterate that I'm not going anywhere. I love my job. And if I get paid 110 or 130, I'm still going to be here. But I just thought that, you know, there's a lot of things not considered when it comes to the compensation of elected officials and others that work for government entities. So
What would be your recommendation for the bottom and the top for the sheriff?
bottom 120, top 130. And I think that's fair. But when you look at material, I mean, the average salary for the sheriff in the state of Oregon, if you take all 36, is about 130,000. You know, then you take Wheeler, Lake, Harney, Wallowa counties. Those counties don't have the economy, you know, to afford it. It's not that their sheriff's not worth that, or a lot of their elected officials, but they just can't afford that, right? And Gillum County can afford it, but they've also have the industry to support it that creates more responsibility. So, you know, it's kind of a.
I have a question. You mentioned that the sheriff's office on average for you kind of returns a little over $500,000 to in quota, right? Where does that, where does that money go? Is that part of your compensation? Does it go back into the general budget? I'm a little ignorant on that.
It goes to the general fund. And then each year we do our budget.
Are you aware of any other business, departments in the county that generates funds that go back into the budget other than the sheriff's office?
I'm guessing. that-
Taxes.
Yeah.
Well,
Taxes.
Taxes.
Probably.
Most
guess-
departments.
Without saying.
Yeah.
Well,
We,
Grants that we.
oh, God.
Yeah.
Thank
weed
you.
department, don't they have contracts, gravel? And supposed to
Yeah.
gravel,
Yeah.
I'm really not that familiar.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and the clerk's office has recording fees, and yes, I think about every office brings in some money, yeah.
Were filed in justice court, and the fines that the sheriff's office or the court generates would be 50-50 state circuit court, and then the other 50% would come to the county, because the sheriff's office writes the citations, 100% of the fine portion. An example would be class B violation on the freeway, $265. The county keeps $199. The rest of it is assessments that go to the state, et cetera. So we would only keep half of that 199 if we didn't have a justice. Makes sense?
Appreciate that. Any other questions, Gary? Sheriff Betcourt? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other elected officials?
I'd just like to introduce myself since we have some new members. My name is Ellen Wagner. I've been the county clerk. This July will be 9 years. I was the deputy clerk a year and a half. Elections and stuff are changing greatly. This year we got suspicious mail, which we've never had. It was from Thailand, and we worked with our sheriff's office, which is wonderful. We had bomb squad come in and analyze it. Thank goodness. Yeah, I had some nasty writing and stuff, but there was no powder. We didn't have to worry about that. So stuff are coming. We're getting a whole new voter system. Whew, it's gonna be exciting. We spent all last year training for it. They were supposed to begin with the presidential primary. We couldn't get to work. Not a small county. We couldn't get it to work. Thank goodness they were gonna force us to do it. Thank goodness they said, no, we're gonna use your old system to get through this year. We'll start over next year. We're fortunate. We're a small county. I have a bare bones ballot machine that only costs $50,000. So the new software will be able to download it on this machine. The larger counties have much more sophisticated, and unfortunately, they're gonna have to buy new software. And their machines cost over $100,000. So that is something new. And then in a couple of years, you're gonna have ranked choice voting. I don't know if you've heard of it. You're gonna, instead of vote for one person, you're gonna rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's gonna be an average of everything. And hopefully I'll be retired. Put that out there.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
I just want to introduce Carrie Hayter. I'm Chris Patnode. I was the previous justice of the peace for 21 years, and this is the new justice who was appointed by the governor. She will explain, where we are with our statistics and our revenue, which Gary went over that. But one thing that I just want to reiterate about the justice court is that when you have strong law enforcement, you do need a strong court system. And I think we've built that and maintained that from the times of Bill Marshall to Chris Nix to us and now to Carrie. So really strong staff that's been there for 10 years and 24 years to assist her. We have good relationships with law enforcement, other courts across the state and circuit courts. So I think we can continue that strong relationships. I just want to welcome Carrie.
Thank you, Chris. Hi, everyone. I'll just share a few numbers to piggyback off of the sheriff. With the sheriff's office being fully staffed and comparing numbers, if we look at 5/31, this May 31 current calendar year, as opposed to last year at the same time, we're at 165%. And so it's really with his increased staffing affecting the transactions that are coming through justice court. And we're at 66% and only 41% through the year of actual citations. So right now we're at 1,264 violations that come to the justice court office that the docket clerk and the administrative clerk handle and passes through their fingertips. And some of that, depending on the path, comes also over to my office. So that's the workload that's coming through each one of those. And in 2023, pardon me, that was 1,900. And then in 2022, that was over 2,400. So we're on pace for this current year to look back and maybe 2022 be closer to fuller staff, because we're on par to reach those same numbers, if not exceed them.
We can just become.
And so looking, I think I forgot that 22 year, the county fine share that year of citations was $368,000. But of that share, we had the county share, but 547 actually flowed through justice court to the state and other shares. go through that too fast with any questions.
I would like to say also, the Justice Court has kept the same staffing levels for over 20 years, regardless, we just do what we can do. And it works really well because we have well-educated and experienced staff that can take off the work, but it take on the work as it comes in, but it does ebb and flow based on, law enforcement staffing. So, but we're doing fine. Electronic citations have really helped. It does create work, but I think we worked a lot of the bugs out where there's some steps that have been eliminated. So that helps with staffing, to keep the same staffing level while law enforcement has its full staff.
It is increasingly difficult to recruit and retain staff. I was chair of the Arlington School District Board, and we would see that turnover, and it's important to retain staff about what, at some point, if the workforce is too slow, I don't understand, you have to make adjustments, but we all know turnover is difficult on any organization. Thank you.
We also have the uncertainty of what the DA's office, because the Justice Court does handle misdemeanor crimes as well. So we don't know where we're going with the new DA from here, because Kara Davis was elected. I don't know if it's completely finalized, it's a very close vote. But depending upon if the new DA cites crimes into Justice Court, I expect they will, because circuit court is very busy handling felonies, etc. We also handle civil cases in Justice Court. That would be small claims, evictions, violations, and
About the cost of living, I think that it's important that we keep it consistent across the board with all county employees. You know, last year where the electors were given percent less, the employees were, I think that it'd be nice to keep it consistent. It's one of the pieces that improved, not have some random number.
And then the union contract has 3.5 versus your.
Yes.
I concur with that. Just it's really helped with morale and consistency that it's similar.
Same with our salary schedule as like, but it's all at base. I'm not questioning that there's, he's worth $100. How do we have the electeds as individuals is, we've been there before. I thought it was a lot of issues. But there are positions that have a lot more duties than that.
Let go for both union and non-union, that we're suggesting to keep it level.
Cost of living, yes.
So one thing I would like to remind the board of before we get too far into thinking is that we are deciding the pay for the position, not the person that holds the position. And that can sometimes be a little difficult to keep that separation there, but we want to make sure we're looking at the position and the duties of the position.
You mentioned that there's 165% increase in money coming in at this current period of time.
So
Last year.
yes, at 551.24, the county fine share is $180,000. The same time last year, the same period, it was 109,000. So we're at 165% of where we were just last year.
Is that a trend that you see happening, or is that because we have more under sheriff?
Since COVID, we regularly see 100+ mile/hour speeds. So those citations are 1,100. 91 and up to 100 or $140 citations. That's also our roads, 30-mile-an-hour speed limit is one. We're seeing a lot higher speeds, combined with the fact that I have 3 new team members on the road. 2 of them are splitting off the other functions
part time. We just want to add one personnel.
I'm fed by the state. So.
Does anyone else have questions?
Nathan had.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
The steps. We started some pays with steps. They were progressed a few years ago, a little bit. I mean, I guess I'm a little bit of extremist on this one. I either want, I like the idea of either following the steps everybody else in the county follows, or just eliminating them altogether. And I don't, you know, it's just a discussion, and I don't care one way or the other. I really don't. I mean, I've already stepped out. Makes no difference. We do have some new people that are back, but I just going back to the trying to keep everything consistent. It just makes harmony, I think. So that's all I can say. Thank you.
Yeah, fine. Okay, before we go and discuss them, the next thing on the agenda is public comments. We're all elected officials and the board here, so anyone online have any comments? Going. Gone, okay. All right. Discussion among the board here. So Green, I'll just start with you. I'll go kind of around the circle here. What are your thoughts? Sorry.
Well, my thoughts are with Jeff and others of keeping everybody on the, not having somebody else get less than the other as far as the cost of living and stuff. Because even though the cost of living is a 3.5 or whatever, we all know that every time we go to the store, things are more expensive. So it's affecting everyone. So that's just kind of my thought for right now.
Okay.
The challenges of being a public servant is a lot right now. You're seeing all the recalls and all of the challenges that come with it. And it takes a very special person, I think, to choose to do public service and to compensate them appropriately in a county that can afford it is very valuable to me, and keeping it consistent even is of also great value.
I think great points have been made from people in attendance and committee as well. Trying to, as long as the county is in a position to increase wages across the board, I don't see why we couldn't do that.
I agree.
Okay, so I feel like there's sort of three things on the table. So first thing is the CPI of 9%. And I'll call for motions and votes here on this, but let's all see if we're on the same page. So 3.5%, we need to vote on that. I feel like we need to discuss the sheriff's position and making it its own category and setting it at a different place. And then so the salary schedule, there's 5 steps in the elected official one, and it looks like there's 6 steps in the yes. So okay, I'm gonna put my recommendation on the table and then you all discuss. So my recommendation is we go with the 3.5% CPI. We separate out the sheriff and discuss what's appropriate for the rate there. And I do not think we should add another step this year, because there was a lot of discussion and thought that went into it at the time. The steps don't even match. Like, for elected officials, every year, there's another step. For the other positions, it's like, 4 to 7, 7 to 10, 10 plus.
And this only goes to 4.
And the thought process behind it at the time was that they're elected every 4 years. And so, I absolutely, those of you in positions a long time, your, wisdom and knowledge and performance improves year after year. But that's not how the position's necessarily designed. Like, it's up for reelection by the people every year. So, Nathan, I saw your hand raised. Did you
No, it's just
want to comment?
Yeah, we just, the total difference top and bottom is left the same, which is relative.
Right.
Rest. And the argument, Gary tried to speak this too, but probably the first couple of years, the overall hardest is real steep.
Right.
You know, it makes a difference.
Okay. So CPI of 3.5%. Discussion.
Yeah, you can't go higher, right? Because of the contract.
Right. Keep it consistent and no reason to go lower.
No.
Okay, so for that specifically, can I hear a motion about what CPI we should?
I move the CPI is at 3.5%.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We accomplished one thing.
Mhm.
Okay. The sheriff's. Hey. So I guess first question, is there consensus or do we believe that it should be separated and that compensation looked at different?
Differently than what we see here on
Yeah, like-
our chart.
Right, so or do both the sheriff and the judge need increase?
With the 5.5.
No, Gary's conversation was because of the nature of the role of sheriff and the averages that are out there and the law that says that he can't pay his people more than what he's paid. His suggestion is that we start the position higher than the 94,000 it is right now. So that's the recommendation. Do we agree with that recommendation? Is the first one.
I absolutely agree, personally. It's a dangerous position in general. $94,000 is what a high paid teacher salary would be as well. I mean, you're at the top end and you're not putting yourself in those positions purposefully for the safety of our community.
So the county budget this year was estimated to be like 82 million. Is that we go
Yeah. 94.
94 miles, so it's actually gone up.
Yeah.
How does that compare to like Germany law? I don't want to include more kind of a little different thing going on north end.
Let's take a quick look.
This one shows previous years. We don't have the current year budgets with
So this is the line for that.
the populations in comparison to what their budgets are and.
I think
Thank you.
like the fact that
It's like, oh, where did I have?
as a factor too.
We used the 3.5 when fully prepared the budget. Our current budget that was approved to meetings.
Would support it.
And the budget has not been adopted yet. The court can still make changes to the budget prior to adoption.
And the adoption has to happen by when? Is that in July?
The budget hearing will be scheduled for, June 26th.
Okay, so we agree the sheriff's position should be at a different rate. What do we recommend? This. I don't know, I guess,
The low.
do we recommend step E and then it's calculated backwards to figure out what the A is, or recommend the A and then it's calculated upwards? Can you like put it in the
So
Excel sheet?
there we go. So whatever number you want me to fill in here,
Just for
we
start,
can.
just see where it ended up. Can you?
I make it bigger. Hold on here.
140 split over.
140.
Oh, let's go like this.
Can you read the last note? Is it 145?
One other or
140.
That might be the best I can do here.
put in 115 just to show us for A.
Okay.
And that turns out 134 for those of us that are struggling with sight.
The other thing on that, if I may, in the last year, you know, like with our director, and then the county court was talking about a county manager. The comments were made, we're not gonna get anybody, we need a guy. And so in 2.5 years, you know, I'm gonna finish out my term. You know, I'm thinking of the following generation of sheriff as well. You know, it's gotta be an attractive, all my people, I asked them to strive to be the next sheriff. That's the kind of people we want. And so we got some incentive there.
We know where we live, right? Very hard to get places, do places. There's not a lot here. You absolutely have to want to be here. And we have to make it attractive enough that they want to stay. No question, because that longevity just makes everything work better.
I don't feel like I'm objective on this position, so I would prefer if the rest of you would guide where you think the sheriff's position should be.
Well, I kind of liked the 120 start with the 140 at the end, also because of attraction and also keeping up with. I mean, we want to keep people as well as attraction. So that's just that, and we have, I think, the means to support our
Yeah, they're not
salaries.
gonna wanna leave. So they're not gonna wanna leave and go to a surrounding county.
Right.
Square miles is still.
Oh, 52 by, what is that?
How many square mile?
Well,
1,230.
All just know it takes me 57 miles to get to a grocery store, so I know, I know the drive part. And trying to cover all the places.
Okay, so Reem put in 120, let's go back
Go
to
back to
that.
that.
That's just a suggestion for discussion.
What would that be in relation to the, compared to the 3.5%, what would be the increase on that? What I'd love to just say. I'm good with that, actually, I'm good with 2020.
Let's see.
Just so that we're aware of what we're suggesting on the increase.
Oh, Nicole's on it.
We'll see.
Maybe.
Sometimes I screw my mind. Okay, so 3.5 would have been the 94, right?
It's like 35% increase. Right? The higher end, it's currently 110 and you're asking it to be at 30,000 higher.
Oh,
So did.
you're looking at it a smarter way. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that would be for a 4-year, that's the 4-year schedule then, based off that increase, right? That shows you those steps,
Yeah, so we're changing the base.
Right.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Would this make a significant difference in the county budget? Or is it something that can easily be absorbed?
It could
Well,
be absorbed, yeah.
We'll keep it under 100, that's what we'll do on the freeway, so we don't get busted.
That's a good idea. Keep it under 100. 99.5.
Went on the back stretches.
Great, so then do I hear a motion for the sheriff's position base rate?
I so move that we have the base rate at 120,000.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain. Okay, motion carries. All right. So then the salary schedule of the steps. Do we want to remain with the steps as they're defined or consider another option?
when were the steps put in place? Does somebody know? You said we're somewhat recent,
2 years ago?
and before that, it was just a high and a low. Oh, I see.
Yeah, there was the steps A through F prior. And it matched the years 0 to 0.99, 1 to 1.99, et cetera, all the way up to your last step at 10 years.
Reviewing other counties, some counties have steps, anywhere from 2 or 3 to per county at 13, you get 1 each year, and some have none at all. So it just, whatever everybody likes to do.
I appreciate the reward for years of service.
What is the percentage increase on the non-representative position?
Total,
Like in between each of their steps, so let's say they're getting a 6% step increase every year, but now that we've dwindled it down to 4 steps. They're missing out on that 6% every year by getting a potentially 2.5% CPI. To Aaron's mindset of being rewarded each year, that was different to me. But all state agencies are a 10-step system, and then after your 10 years, you just get your CPI.
Okay, so Erin's statement was she likes the look at the years. Or the reward for greater years.
Which schedule, I was writing something down, sorry.
That's okay, so the proposed elected officials has 5 steps over 4 years. Well, this is non-represented salary, but
But the elected one is.
I'm assuming the union salary schedule is the
it's the
same.
same, yeah.
It has 6 steps over 10 years.
The percentage change, however, is there's overall in the non-represented and unions, there is a total of 18% increase over the years. And in the electeds, it's condensed, so they get a larger increase at each step. So it comes out to 19.5%, or sorry, no, 16%
Here's
in total.
if the elected officials meet together And to think that, because you're all at the farm, you're all at the last step right now. So,
The justice of the peace and the judge. Yeah.
but you're at the beginning. So, I feel like if this is something you want to change for the future, then next year come with a new proposal with the different schedule, because figuring, like, we can't end this meeting in a reasonable amount of time.
Right.
Reshake it out to the longer years. So if you don't like the 4 years and you want it to be different, then come to us next year. That's my proposal.
Is that a motion?
I think I can make a motion.
Yes.
Carrie?
So one thing that can be considered as well is a one-time, I've seen other organizations do a longevity payout. So at the anniversary year, they could get not an additional step, but say an additional, here's your one-time 2% payout. In addition to your cost of living, then it's not accumulating, but a longevity clause for some of the top end elected officials can maybe be considered for years of service as a little bit extra reward without extending out the step schedule. And then having that cumulative effect, a few more percent plus an additional pull up. That's one thing that could be considered maybe next year too.
Next year,
And the county court offers a $2,500 20 year, when you hit your 20 years on your anniversary, they pay out 2,500. That's cool.
Well, I feel like somebody just celebrated a very, I think it was 22 though. I might write it down still.
Okay. So I think we've done our job. Or did we miss anything?
I don't think so. I think that's it. There is, somewhere, now that our papers are all mixed up, there's a sample letter from last year. The board chair generally writes a recommendation to the court.
Excuse me, were you guys gonna review the judge? What did I hear you say you're gonna review the judge's salary or just the sheriff?
They pulled it out separate.
Oh, they pulled it out?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll draft this letter.
Okay.
Work with you to get it
Yep.
right, and then we'll start the whole board.
Yep.
Okay,
Make sure everyone agrees and.
all right, any other meeting concluding comments? All right, this meeting is adjourned.